mission objectives are to extract the child soldier's commander and their captive, the General's number 2. This child soldier platoon decided to break away from the Mbeli militants. They took the number 2 captive and have occupied an abandoned village. Start by checking that location on your map. Boss, the child soldiers will treat you as an enemy, but they're just kids. See that they don't get hurt. Reconnaissance is best conducted from high vantage points. I've marked a good spot on your map. Take a look at your iDroid. High ground. Looks perfect for reconning the village. Security's pretty light. There are fewer kids around than our intel suggested. Maybe they sent some out on patrol. Extract him.
Fire at will.
General's number 2. That's the target prisoner. He's injured. Looks half-starved. Okay, that's the General's brother. His number 2. Get him out of there, boss. That's the target prisoner. He's injured. Looks half-starved, too. There's no way he can stand the shock of a Fulton extraction. Get him out by chopper.
Bangi ya General ya Batala Lumbu Mosi Tata ya Bankaka na Mono Elaka Mono Mambo General Sabata Bantu ya Buta Tiyambele Etinkaka Mosi Ubeto Nyonso Kebampangi Atampidina ya Ikentango ya kuvutuka diaka
Roger.
Menga Kekilo Kampasa Utulambi Nambi Kekilo Menga
Tyler doesn't look like the target. Okay, subject is in. Now get out of the hot zone.
Gaining altitude. Departing.
Good work. Mission complete, and how? They're gonna tell stories about this one, boss. Boss, about how we report this one to the client. I'll tell them we took heavy resistance from the renegade platoon, and the hostage was killed in the firefight. Also, their leader wouldn't let himself be taken alive. I doubt the client will pay us for this one, but we got a big enough reward from the General's number 2 instead. And as for the number 2, he's saying he wants to join Diamond Dogs. I guess he knows what that means for him. He said, if I'm working for you, I can be number 2 or number 200 for all I care. Boss, we have an emergency. Many of our staff are falling ill. At first it seemed like a common cold, but before we knew it, blisters started popping up on their chests and... Damn it. I'll fill you in at the ACC. Just get in the chopper. Look closely. Those are the symptoms of the infection on Mother Base. The blisters on the body were full of tiny worms. Parasite larvae, most likely. But we couldn't find any adults. It doesn't seem to mature in the body, like a spargatum. We don't know the root of infection, or what causes symptoms to develop. Boss, do you remember seeing these symptoms before? The bodies floating around in the oil facility, the bedridden test subjects at the Devil's House. This epidemic looks just like what we've seen on our hunt for Cypher. So this is the weapon of mass destruction Cypher was working on in Africa. Boss, the situation is urgent. We need to quarantine the infected and contain the pathogen. Priority now is to prevent more casualties. But the problem is, how do we tell who's infected? During the incubation period, we have no way of knowing who's clean. You'll have to try and guess who's infected before they go symptomatic and quarantine them. That'd be easy if we just knew the route or vector of the infection. From now on, if you even suspect a staff member's infected, use your iDroid to order them into quarantine. Given the situation, the men won't submit to quarantine just because I or the medical team tell them to. But they will listen to you. Of course, it's just a temporary measure until we find a permanent solution. But at least they'd be in solitary isolation so they won't infect each other, and we get the mental care they need. If we do nothing, we'll only lose more people. We have no choice. Boss, open your iDroid. I'll explain how to quarantine staff members suspected of infection. Go to the Mother Base menu and select Staff Management. First, take a look at the quarantine facility we've set up. We'll isolate anyone who's already symptomatic at the quarantine facility. But we have to expect that there are multiple staff who are infected, but asymptomatic. So how do we identify them? At present, we have no way to tell them apart. But there has to be something for us to go on. If you notice anything, reassign staff you suspect are infected to the quarantine facility. We'll monitor them, and then contact you if there's a change in their condition. Correctly quarantining these asymptomatic infected will reduce the number of new infections. You should continue with your missions as usual. If Cypher is behind this, going after them should help us determine the root cause of this epidemic. Also, until we identify the pathogen, we can't fire or dispatch any staff. We cannot let this thing spread. Boss, get to the bottom of this fast. We're counting on you. Quarantine the staff you specified. Did you figure out what's causing the infection? All right. We'll quarantine the staff you specified. Did you figure out what's causing the infection? Quarantine the staff you specified. Did you figure out what's causing the infection? staff you specified. Did you figure out what's causing the infection? Quarantine the staff you specified. Did you figure out what's causing the infection? Boss, a new job's come in. It's a hit. I'm the human trafficker who sent Shabani and the others to Nzoya Badiabulu, where you ran into Skullface. The thing is, this guy might know something about the disease that's going around Mother Base. The symptoms are similar to the ones we saw at that factory. Start by checking the mission details on your iDroid.
Look closely. Those are the symptoms of the infection on Mother Base. The blisters on the body were full of tiny worms. Parasite larvae, most likely. But we couldn't find any adults. It doesn't seem to mature in the body, like a spargatum. We don't know the root of infection, or what causes symptoms to develop. The infection rate, along with the number of dead, are both on the rise. If we don't find the cause, and soon...
Boss, do you remember seeing these symptoms before? The bodies floating around in the oil facility, the bedridden test subject?
Remember before, boss? When Quiet attacked one of our guys on Mother Base, stuck a knife in his mouth. He's one of the very few soldiers who've had contact with her recently. Close contact. I don't think it's a coincidence that he was among those who became symptomatic pretty early on in this epidemic. Saliva and blood spatter, an open wound, mucosal infection. Whatever is causing this got inside him then.
Miller, that is a baseless accusation.
The source of the infection is Quiet. Everyone suspects her.
We don't know that. And we've come across these symptoms before. The bodies in the water at the oil-filled facility. Those sick people in the beds at the Devil's House. They're identical to what we've seen while we've been after Cypher. The infection could have come from elsewhere. But at the very least, she does know something.
It's not like she's gonna talk.
No, not through words anyway. But what about her actions? Quiet held a knife to that soldier back then, before he became symptomatic. There must have been a reason for that.
A reason for shoving a knife down the throat of one of our men.
What if she's capable of identifying who's infected? What if she was trying to stop the infection but couldn't communicate that to us? The answer to that, the source of the infection, might be in the mouths of the infected.
You think there's some kind of clue in their mouths?
I don't know. But maybe there's something about the mouths of those who've become symptomatic, something in common.
Something their mouths have in common. Forget it. We can't trust her. Even if she can spot the infected, I don't want her help.
I understand how you feel. But this is something to go on.
Can't you see it's just like I said? Bringing her here.
We're definitely seeing a reduction in the number of full-blown infections.
And
Did you figure out what's causing this, boss? Did it have something to do with staff abilities?
there has to be a way to identify who's infected.
Target is a PF logistics officer who works as a human trafficker on the side. The client wants him dead. He's currently on the run somewhere on the savannah with bodyguards. Unfortunately, we don't know what route they're taking. All we have to go on is a coded transmission sent by the PF at the Tati abandoned village. It appears to be a workup of the target's security plans, but to decipher it, we'll need an intel file with the encryption key. This key should be at the comms facility at the Tati abandoned village. Check your iDroid to see what the target looks like, as well as the location of the village. Find the route. Find the man.
Be careful down there, boss.
That's the Tati abandoned village. The enemy transmission originated from there. It'd be worth checking out. The target is on the move somewhere on the savannah. Problem is, we don't know what route he's taking. It's too big a search area to cover without more information. If you can Find that intel file, it could give you a lead on him. You made it to the Ditati abandoned village. That's where the enemy PF's coded transmission came from. There's got to be a transmitter there somewhere. It could have the intel file containing the encryption key. Look for an antenna.
Wat gaan aan?
CP, de 17. Onbekende gewierskutter. Oorsprong onbekend. Goed.
Dat is CP, begrijp. Alleen hier. Eerst vooruit. Uit.
You gotta extract him.
CP, de Zulu 2. Iemand is pas met de ballon weggetrekt. Waarschijnlijk een indringer. Bijstand alsjeblieft. Goed.
Dat is CP, begrijp. Bescherm securiteit in punt die indringer. Uit.
Wat is zo?
Is je oké?
Begin cover fire.
Delta 3, wat goed. Kom in, Delta 3. Wat is de situatie? Alle eenheden staan bij.
Spit it out.
A prisoner. He might have some information. If you extract him, we'll see what he knows. Boss, that prisoner you extracted was a civilian abducted by the target. He says the trafficker is trying to make contact with a human rights NGO. He hopes that by handing over his list of buyers, they'll guarantee his safety. But I don't get it. Why an NGO? Why run to someone else for help? Picked up an intel file, huh? According to this information, the target is headed for Gazeba Camp. We also have his movement route. I've updated your map. Use the target's route to locate him. Eliminating him will be much harder if he makes it to the Gazeba Camp. Take him down on the savannah.
Spit it out.
He's coming too. Roger that.
Werkelijk.
Sylvia, de Zulu 6. Die hulpbron is weg. Het bleek ons het aandenken.
Okay, subject is in. Subject on board. Leave the rest to us. Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
Bisa disambung.
Okay, subject is in. Their anti-air radar? It wasn't one of the targets, but that's put a hole in their air surveillance. The chopper will be able to get in close now. You can designate a landing zone near the outpost. That's Kaziba camp. The target's headed there. We don't want him linking up with more enemy forces. You better hurry. target is on the move somewhere on the savannah. It's too big a search area to cover without more information. Try interrogating enemy soldiers.
Spit it out.
What happened? Boss!
Boss, the target is moving across the savannah. Find him and eliminate him. According to this information, the target is headed for Gaziba Camp. I've updated your map. Use the target's route to locate him. Eliminating him will be much harder if he makes it to the Gaziba Camp. Take him down on the savannah. Subject on board. Leave the rest to us. Boss, get down. the enemy sniper. Stay low and crawl along the ground. That should enable you to sneak past enemies.
Cover me!
That's Gaziba camp. The target's headed there. Eliminating him will be much harder if he makes it to the Gaziba camp. Take him down on the savannah.
CFP, dat is Delta 3. Ik heb de ballistische troep hier gekregen. Oor.
De CFP, begrijp. Alleen heren, verwacht in 50 kilometer. Uit.
Those are scabs, Gunnar!
CFP, dat is Delta hier. Onder 4 voor een vijandige sniper. Oor.
Alles geht weiter, das steht hier. Anfangspositie. Alle hierher. Anfangspositie.
That's Gaziba camp. The target's headed there. We don't want him linking up with more enemy forces. You better hurry. Coming too. Roger that. target. Eliminate him, however you see fit. Target confirmed dead. Your objective's complete. Exfiltrate out of the hot zone by chopper or on land. Don't hang around. Extract him.
maar contact verloren na het kruisvuur. Vijand kan nog even naby wegkruip. Adviseer waaksaamheid. Hoor.
Roger. That's it. You've made it out of the hot zone. No sign of the enemy. Mission complete, boss. All right. Mission complete, boss. Maybe you'll actually break a sweat next time, huh?